Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a video that I've been talking about doing for a while and just kept putting off, and it is the brands that I do not buy from or won't buy from and why. So this is a mix of brands. Some of these are people I've never bought from and have no interest in buying from for various reasons that I'll get into, and some of them are brands that I've bought from in the past and no longer will buy from, and some of them are brands that I've just kind of put on hold for now. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I am a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup with a definite soft spot for indie makeup and more high-end makeup, and I tend to take a pretty analytical and critical approach to my makeup reviews and my makeup collection as a whole, and I have new content every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. Okay, so before I start, I do want to give a little disclaimer. This isn't the longest list, and I don't think this will be a super long video, but it's going to be a mix of things. Some of it's more ethical and I have concerns, and some of it's just I don't like the product, so I'm not going to buy those products anymore. So let's try to be civil in the comments, especially if you disagree or someone else in the comments disagrees with you. A lot of these, I don't necessarily judge a person for buying from this brand if they really love it. Some of these I do judge someone if they buy from, and I will also explain why when I get to those brands specifically. Okay, so the first brand that I won't buy from, or that I'm no longer buying from, is Colourpop. So Colourpop, I don't judge people who like Colourpop. I think that they do have their niche and that does fit a purpose. I am not part of that niche anymore. So I did buy a lot of Colourpop, especially in 2020, when I was really learning what kind of eyeshadows I like to use, what colors I like to use, and all of that. I think Colourpop and drugstore makeup in general is really good at being a cheap way into makeup, a cheap way of figuring that stuff out. So you're not buying a $60, blue eyeshadow palette and learning you don't like blue eyeshadow. You're buying a $15 blue eyeshadow palette, or a $20 now. But I became very leery over 2020 while buying stuff from them. I got really annoyed with this, and then as it went on, I got really sick of their constant releases, 3 times a week releasing products, collection after collection after collection, and they started to be repetitive. And I even bought blushes from 2 different ones, and they were the exact same blush color. And they never mentioned that. So things like that really kind of put me off. And then as I started to experience better, more high quality formulas, I started to realize that a lot of the time Colourpop is good for the money, but not really good. And while I might enjoy the end result, the process to get there is not always the most pleasurable. And they do have some good products. I still have a bunch of Super Shock shadows from them that I'm going to use until they're gone. But their business model is too focused on overconsumption for me on a personal level to really support or really want to participate in. And once I kind of figured that out, I was okay with participating every once in a while, but I would see people buy everything from them and collect every single collection full, and it's unhealthy. And that was one thing. And then last year when they did their Harry Potter collab, that was my final straw. So if you are new here, I am a trans non-binary person, and J.K. Rowling is a very vocal and proud transphobic person. She calls herself a TERF now. She admits to that. What started as I'm just asking questions, which is generally somewhat, there's a whole issue with the I'm just asking questions crowd, because generally they're not just asking questions. They have an ulterior motive and they're trying to lure you into it. But she frames hating trans people and sometimes queer people in general as a protecting women thing. And misogyny is a very big problem in our world, but hating on another, pushing that hate onto a marginalized group is not the answer. Pretending that trans women are the same thing as cis men, the enemy is straight men who want to hurt women, but instead of actually doing something to fix that situation, she's attacking the most marginalized people. And, you know, there's also a history of racism and anti-Semitism and stuff in her books and in her writing that people have pointed out forever. And there's a lot of resources out there that give like facts and like, you know, here's, she did this, she did this, she did this. But Colourpop supporting J.K. Rowling was my final straw. So obviously it was with the licensed IP and with Warner Brothers and all of that. But J.K. Rowling gets a cut of that every time. And she uses that money to fund anti-trans and anti-queer legislation. So when you look around the country right now, how there's all of these bills going out trying to ban drag queens. Some of them are very vague and are like basically banning dressing differently from your assigned sex at birth in public. So even me, as a non-binary person wearing makeup and earrings, and if I wore like heels or a skirt or something, I would be part of that. I could be arrested for dressing like that, for even just wearing like they're intentionally vague because they're going after queer people. And it's the same thing. She is using her influence and her power and her money to push for those kind of things in the United Kingdom, and it's having an effect here and elsewhere. So giving her, buying the video game, buying the Harry Potter collab, supporting that stuff is showing her that you still support it. Like she's blatantly said, like, I don't care if people are upset that I am doing all of this stuff. I'm still getting a paycheck. I don't care. They're still buying my stuff, so I don't care. And so like by continuing to buy products associated with Harry Potter, like if you have the books and you still really love them, read the books, that's fine. But like buying new copies of things and buying new merch is just putting more money in her pocket and showing her that she still has that support and she can get away with this stuff. And so as a trans person, that was my final straw. And then Colourpop's response to people being really upset about this was mostly to ignore it. And then they were like, no, we like queer people, we support trans people. And then they posted a link to like, I think it was the Trevor Project or something, which is great, but it was a fundraising thing. It wasn't, hey, we're donating this much money because of this. It was, here is a link for you to go donate. So buy our products and go donate for us. And that was like not the right response. I think if Colourpop had said, we didn't realize how hurtful this would be, we're really sorry, we're gonna donate the proceeds that we made from this, or we're gonna donate this, we're gonna donate X amount, it would have been worth it. But I think they like donated a couple $1,000s, and you know they made way more than that. So that was like my final cutoff of, I am done with Colourpop. Like as a brand, I don't think they are ethical in any way anymore. Like and I can't do that. And I did, if you buy Colourpop still, I'm not judging you. I understand a lot of people love their products and like their formulas, or it's, you know, what they can afford. I get that. The people that did buy the Colourpop Harry Potter collab, I do judge those people because they saw especially when they saw the outrage. And I know like even some people used it as an excuse to ask for PR because they weren't one of the mean people that's mad about it. And that was, I got blocked by some fellow YouTubers for pointing out the hypocrisy there. So that is the first one on my list. The second one on here is Jacqueline Cosmetics. So I've never bought anything from Jacqueline Cosmetics or anything involved with Jacqueline Hill. And I didn't follow her on YouTube. I didn't join makeup YouTube. When I started watching makeup YouTube videos, I was watching more professional makeup artists like Lisa Eldridge and stuff. I wasn't watching the influencers. So I was never part of the whole her and all the drama that happened with Manny and that. Like I was never part of that. I never watched any of that. I found out about that after the fact. So I've never had any kind of like tie to her or any like emotional investment in her as an influencer, as her as a brand. And I just don't, like, I think the products don't look very nice. I think a lot of people have had bad products. There was the whole lipstick thing. So like, as an impartial outsider, like nothing about it speaks to me. The packaging often looks bulky and kind of tacky to me, and I just, you know, like people were just talking about how Robert Welsh and Johnny Ross, I think, were just did a video where they were talking about how, you know, she put a green color corrector on and was like, did that, you know, that TikTok influencer, oh my God thing. And it was like, really, you've been a makeup person and an influencer for like a decade now and you've never tried green color corrector? Like, it's just like, it feels too fake selling products just to sell products. And the whole vibe never been my thing. So I get that people buy it, and I've watched people like Teresa's dad has bought stuff from her, and I've watched her videos just to be like, what does Teresa think? But I have no interest in buying from the brand. Okay, the next one is Morphe, and I think Morphe is basically going out of business. They filed for bankruptcy. I don't know what's going on with that. I do see Morphe in Ulta. I've gone to Ulta a couple times since all that happened, and there's still Morphe stuff. And there's Morphe 2 stuff at Target. And I've tried some Morphe products, mostly the brushes. I bought some brushes based on recommendations from YouTube people when I first was really getting into makeup. And I still have a couple of them because they work fine, but I would say like, you know, I had maybe 10 or 12 brushes and I kept 2. The rest were like scratchy and like they were fine at first, but then they got really scratchy and they just weren't very good quality. They didn't hold up after a couple washes, and the eyeshadow palettes were giant and just never interested me. So like Morphe as a whole brand has never really been something that I understood or was interested in. And I'm sad to see like when they shut down all of their stores and stuff, I felt really bad for the employees because they weren't really given any notice. So I feel really bad for the employees, but like, I have no investment in Morphe, just like Jacqueline Hill. Like, that's just a different side of the makeup community that I was never part of, and that was like before me. So I started buying makeup at the end of 2019. So like I just never cared for it. Okay. The next brand is the most obvious brand to not buy from, and I do judge people that I see still using and buying these products on Instagram and YouTube, and that is Jeffree Star. That is part of that. This should go without saying, but that's part of that whole old YouTube thing, but like the toxic culture around that and the drama and all of that. The racism, there's just a laundry list of problems with Jeffree Star as a human, and you can't disconnect the brand from the person. So that has been something like I tried a lip gloss and like I had 2 lip glosses and a lipstick, you know, in 2019, because someone recommended them to me, and I liked the lip gloss and I hated the lipstick. So, and then I learned more about the person and the brand, and I was like, well, I'm not buying anything else from them, and was done with it. So, there's just so many things. And now Jeffree Star is trying to get in with like conservatives and right-wing people and attacking trans and non-binary people. Attacking non-binary people like myself. He even said, I have a trans employee, and so I'm not transphobic, but I don't understand non-binary people and pronouns. Like, one, everybody has pronouns. It's just basic grammar. He is a pronoun. I hate when people say they don't use pronouns, and it's like in the sentence that you just said where you don't use pronouns, you use pronouns multiple times. You don't even know what the word means. But to then add into that and just as a person, so problematic, so hateful, such a grifter, basically. It's just like, no. And that is one of those brands where if you do buy from them, I am judging you. And when I see people buy stuff from them a lot, I make sure I don't follow them, but I blocked people where I just see them posting, like they pop up in Instagram all the time and they're using Jeffree Star stuff. I just block them. I don't want to see them in my feed. Okay, and the next one is also similar, and a bunch of these are because of ethics and controversies. So the next one is Ofra Cosmetics. So I've only tried a couple things from Ofra. I tried a couple of the liquid lipsticks and I hated them. They felt weird. They didn't dry down right. They felt uncomfortable, but they also didn't dry down. Like, it was just a bad lipstick. But there was a bunch of controversy with Ofra, and I think it's owned by a couple, and the husband was posting pro-Trump, like, and it was just immediately like, okay, I see where your politics lie, and your politics are aligning with people who don't think I, as a human, deserve equal rights with you, so it's an immediate no, I will not buy from you. So they haven't been on my radar since that happened, so I don't know if there's been any updates, but they're just a no for me. So my puppy Bean is sleeping on the couch next to me right here and snoring, so you might hear her. Also, the sun that I had all day is starting to go away, and it's looking very dark and gloomy. So hopefully the lighting is okay. And not adjusting too much. And so the next one is another brand that I see a lot of people really like, but I can't bring myself to buy because of the owner, and that is M Cosmetics. So some of the products from M Cosmetics have drawn me in. I really wanted the like faded clementine blush or whatever. I thought it looked really pretty, and I love an orange blush. And there's still some products that have come out where I was like, that's really pretty. I would like to buy that. But again, the owner and main person who's profiting from the company is too problematic. She's, like doing the whole like Bitcoin cryptocurrency thing. She's gone down that train, and all of the problematic and like issues that are over there. And like the people who are all into crypto are just like not people that I want to associate with and tend to be pretty toxic. She's posted a lot of pseudoscience stuff. If you look up Michelle Fawn controversy on Google, you will find article after article and Reddit post after Reddit post with receipts and screenshots and stuff. Pseudoscience things like, selling masks during the initial COVID outbreak, like promoting masks from a friend, but they weren't like masks that would actually protect you. They were just like, cheap frilly things, saying like essential oils would kill COVID. There's been a lot of like pseudoscience, and as a scientist, that stuff is an immediate like, nope, no. I can't do that. No, none of that. So seeing that stuff, and it's just too much. And like, I don't have it up here, but like if you Google Michelle Fawn controversy, you will find a lot of things for the last few years that are just like, you don't seem like a person that I want to financially support, so I will not buy from your brand. But again, she's like one of those original YouTubers, and I wasn't on makeup YouTube watching those original influencers, so I have no personal connection or investment in her. And all I'm seeing is, as an outsider coming in late to the game, like, you're doing some problematic and bad things, so you're just going over here in the, like, I'm not gonna bother pile. Okay, and then the next one I have on my list is Charlotte Tilbury. So I will give props to Charlotte Tilbury. She just had an ad come out with MJ Rodriguez, who is a trans woman and an actor. She was in the show Pose. If you haven't watched Pose, go watch Pose. It's only like 3 or 4 seasons. You will cry. It's great. You will not cry as hard as It's a Sin. That like, I needed a recovery day from, but yeah, Pose is great. And seeing like queer Latin and Black ballroom culture really shown for what it is and embraced was really lovely. So love the show, love the actress Michelle. So I was very happy to see that. I don't know if what spurred that or what's going on there, but historically Charlotte Tilbury hasn't been a brand that I've wanted to support because of seeing and hearing things from people that work there or interact with the brand, or things like she still has a J.K. Rowling, to go back to the Colourpop stuff, Charlotte Tilbury still has a lipstick named after J.K. Rowling that she still promotes. Like, you'll still see posts about it on Instagram periodically and talks about how they're friends. So that's an immediate, like, you're friends with J.K. Rowling, I don't trust you as a human. And I have a friend that used to work for Charlotte Tilbury. They haven't worked there for a couple of years now, so I don't know if things have changed, but they said it was toxically gendered. And like, you look at their advertisements and it's a lot of buzzwords without any meaning, and the oh darling this, and like, it's just obnoxious. So that was an immediate turnoff before I learned anything else. But they said it was toxically gendered. There was a lot of like dress code issues where they're a non-binary person and they wanted to dress in a very feminine way. And there were rules of like, women had to dress this way, men had to wear this, men had to wear pants and these kind of shoes, and women, men couldn't wear, and they were like, well, I'm not a man, so I'm gonna wear a skirt if I want to. And they like pushed against that stuff, but they did not like working there. And they said as a company culture-wise was not good. And you can see that toxic gendered language in their advertisements as well. So it's always been a brand that's been like, I didn't like the ads and the whole vibe of the brand and the pillow talk everything. And then the more I learned from like my friends and seeing things online, like the J.K. Rowling lipstick and stuff, I was just like, I'm good. There are some products from them that look really pretty. I really want the Tom Ford gel eyeliner, like the gel cream eyeshadow in platinum. And the closest dupe that I've seen, because platinum is being discontinued or something, it's just like, I've been searching for it for months and it's nowhere. The closest dupe is her Oyster Pearl shade in her Eyes to Mesmerize, but I can't bring myself to give her money. That is like a color that I really want and really enjoy. And I really want a cream, like one and done eyeshadow with that kind of color. But, so if you have suggestions, let me know in the comments below, because I don't want to give her money. And I do see, she just did that ad, like some Instagram things and an ad with, with MJ Rodriguez. So like, there might be some growth and there might be some changes. And so maybe in the future, I will be willing to buy from the brand, but as of now, a lot of it doesn't look worth the money, and there's just too many things to make me not, I can't do it. Okay, I'm really hoping this isn't just like 20 minutes of me complaining, but if that's what it is, I hope you enjoy that, because there's nothing else I can do about it. Okay, so the next one I have on my list, will also be no surprise, is Kylie Cosmetics. Never been interested in Kylie Cosmetics. I don't know if this is changing, but historically it's been made by Colourpop, like it's made in the same factory. So it's Colourpop quality, I'm assuming. But the whole Kardashian family, Kim Kardashian's brand as well, is lumped in there. So anything related to the Kardashians has never interested me. Like, I've never watched the show. I've seen clips of it, but as a family, I don't like them as a family. I don't like what they've done. I don't like, and there's so many issues in the past with them, like selling like, detox teas that just make you have upset stomach and poop a lot. Like there just seems to be a grifter thing about the family, that they're famous for the people because of people they knew, and then they became famous for people that are famous. And like Kendall Jenner, I think, is the one that's a model, and she was like, I'm a self-made model. And it was like, if you didn't have your sisters and your family and that name, you wouldn't be where you are. Like, you're not self-made. You are there because of your family connections and money and wealth. But the whole vibe of that family is just a big no. So anything that they're involved with, I'm immediately like, nah, I don't need that. It's not. Okay, so I've got two more brands listed here. So the next one is Wayne Goss. So I've wanted to try some Wayne Goss in the past, His kohl eyeliners look interesting. His palettes looked kind of boring but nice, just not like worth the money for me. But I just got a weird vibe from him in general. Like, I just wasn't a fan of seeing the brand. And then there's like little things, like when he launched his bronzers, he launched 3 shades, and I looked at them and I could use the second or the third. Like, I could use the third one. They didn't go dark enough. They were made for white people. And his response was, I'm a self-funded brand. This is all I could afford. And I understand that. So is lots of brands are self-funded. Trixie launched bronzers as well, and only launched like 3 or 4, but they were inclusive. I think there were 4 shades, but they were inclusive. They went from very light to very dark. I hate when brands say, I'm going to launch a couple shades for white people, and if these sell well, I'll make more. And it means that anybody darker than me is just an afterthought and doesn't matter as much as the white people to that brand. And that's an immediate, like, when I see that from any brand, and there's probably other brands that I could put on this list for doing that too, I'm immediately like, no. If you're gonna launch it, at least if you only have money for 3 shades, you need a very light, a really good medium to medium tan, and a dark. And then you'll fill in the gaps later. You don't need to focus on the light end of the spectrum only. You see that with a lot of high-end fashion, like more like luxury brands do that a lot, and that's why I haven't bought a lot of luxury brands. 1, the cost, and 2, just that whole, like, we're gonna make 15 white shades, 2 medium shades, 2 tan shades, and 1 dark shade. Like, that's just a no. It's 2023, you need to do better. But that was just like, and then immediately after that, he had like his mascara launch, and then another launch, and then another palette, and then another thing. And it was like, well, you obviously had money to put into product development for all these other things. You could have put more into that. And then he had his foundation come out, and the shade range was kind of weird and very light still. And like, it was just like, okay, it's not just about the money. You're clearly just prioritizing your white clients. And I mean, his clientele is generally like older white women. So I kind of understand that, but it feels like a slap in the face to everybody else. And so it was just a no. Like, I was vaguely interested, and then I went from vaguely interested to not interested at all. And to see, like, also when people critiqued him and like brought up valid points about that stuff, his response to that, I was just like, no, I'm done, bye. Don't need to buy from you. And I think it's been at like at least a year since some of that happened, and I don't think I've seen an expansion of either of those shade ranges. So okay, so actually I lied, I had 2 brands on here. The next one is Elf. Everybody seems to love Elf Cosmetics, and I've tried a handful of products, and I won't buy from them because I've had bad luck with all of them. I have tried the brow products, I've tried like the NYX brow products, and they're not my favorite, and I don't like them that much, but they're like tolerable, some of them. But I've tried some of the liquid eyeshadows, I've tried some of the face products, I've tried 2 or 3 different primers, and either they haven't worked, like they've been bad quality, or they gave me an allergic reaction. So like, the lip gloss has avocado oil in it, which I know why that gave it to me, but I've checked the ingredients for like the primers that I've used, and they don't have avocado oil in them, but they still make my face red. Like, I had an allergic reaction to them. So like, I just steer clear from the brand because I feel like everything I've tried has either been bad quality or I've been allergic to. So I'm just like, for my own like face safety, I'm just sticking away from the brand. And then the last brand that I have on my list is for now, and that is Natasha Denona. So I have a lot of Natasha Denona. I have a Natasha Denona palette sitting in front of me. And I love what I have from Natasha Denona, but the brand is on pause for me. So two things did that. One, there was the controversy with the Carmine eyeliners. So they were selling eyeliners as vegan and Carmine free. They said that they were vegan, which implies that they don't have Carmine. And some places didn't have Carmine on the ingredients list, but then some places did, and then it turns out they did have Carmine in them. And then when that was brought up by my friend Steven, because he had an allergic reaction to it, their response was to ignore him for a week, update all of the websites to show that it had Carmine in it, and then say, we never said it doesn't have Carmine. And it was like, well, here's screenshots that multiple people, including some big Instagram accounts, have showing that it used to say vegan and that the Carmine wasn't on the ingredients list, and they just acted like nothing happened. So that's like a shady business practice. I've seen some people since that bring up other shady business practices. So there's been other instances that people have brought up that like make me leery. And then the last thing that they launched that I was vaguely interested in was the Retro Glam palette, and I swatched it and most of the shades wouldn't show up on me. And I feel like too often she does things that are more catered towards lighter skin tones and white people, like the whole Glam palette naming the shades like this is your transition shade and this. And like people were like, no, unless you are really pale, that is not your transition shade. And then she was like, well, here's how you could rearrange it. But it's just like that whole thing, like it seems to be a lack of self-awareness and a lack of thought about the actual spectrum of human diversity that are buying your products, that especially from a makeup artist that just like, so I'm not saying I will never buy from Natasha Denona again. I still have products that I use all the time and love. But for now, the brand's on a pause because it's just like bad vibes. I have the hiccups now. Which is good because that I'm done with my list because I hate hiccups. They tend to hurt a lot. So I am gonna stop. So that is my list. I'd love to hear if you have brands that you don't buy from and why, and like your thoughts in the comments. Like I said at the beginning, and I always say, always be respectful, but I do want to hear your thoughts. So that's why I have a channel, like to talk to people. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.